In Hoff We Trust, a Deutschland 83 podcast. I'm Chris Mao along with Rob Southgate. Today we are discussing the season finale of season 1, which was called Able Archer. It's the 8th episode, and
I already said it wrong. I said Adel Archer before
Adel
we started.
Archer, yes, you did. I overlooked that because I do that all the time too. So,
well, if you look at my notes, my B is like lined up with my L.
You got Adel on the brain. That's why.
Yeah, I am Adel-minded.
You're Adel. Yes.
Yeah, Edelweiss. Yes. Okay, so this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is finale. Okay, I got a question before we get started.
Uh-oh. You're going to throw me already. So.
Well, no, I'm not. Do you think this is it? Do you think it's a one-time and done, or do you think we're going to get another season? I haven't found anything about it.
Neither have I.
But that doesn't really mean anything because we didn't know anything about it going into it.
Right.
I think it lends itself to another season, but I can't imagine. I mean,
no.
Where's he going to go?
Unless it's like an American Horror Story where they're just going to switch kind of stories, but keep the same vibe. I don't know.
Right, because there would be stories from east to west that would be really interesting. But
sure.
I think the story of Strom, of Martin. But then again, you watch that ending, and they kind of set it up like it could go on.
Sure.
Because I was watching with Martha
today,
and she said, like, as we're watching it, she's like, we get to the end, and she goes, oh, well, that's not over. And I said, no, I think it's done. And she goes, oh, no. No, and she started rattling off all the things that she thought were not done yet.
Yes.
So,
well, no, there's a lot of potential. Maybe they're going to focus. Maybe the story isn't about Martin, even though he is the key figure in this one.
Okay.
Maybe the whole thing is about Steppenstadt and Lenore and the mom. And
I was thinking it could be about Ingrid. That was who I was thinking.
Exactly.
Is the story, because really we got a lot of Ingrid's story. When you look at the whole show,
right?
It started with her being sick. We found out about her affair with Schweppy. Like all of that was really.
Can we call him Ginger Ale?
Ginger Ale, yes. Right. He's a ginger.
He's a ginger.
You know what? Okay, so let's flip that card. We'll get into it. We got our confirmation. We thought we had it last time, but this time it was like, it couldn't be more obvious.
Yes.
And at least now we understand it's not that he left, it's that they were having an affair.
Correct.
So we didn't know that before. And I think that was
we surmised that they were involved, which they had set the table, but we didn't know how.
I thought he was the dad and he left.
Right.
No. I mean, yes, but no.
Yes.
It was an affair.
Correct.
And then this seems like the first time they've really confronted each other.
No, you know what? It doesn't. To me, I didn't read it that way.
Okay.
I read it as in they had always kind of had a thing, but there was not that they didn't contact each other, but he wasn't in his life.
But he said, I left that woman, or I'm not with her anymore. So I was thinking maybe it had been a few years. And she didn't know that he was divorced or whatever. All right, who killed themselves? Wait a minute.
Yeah,
who killed
exactly.
themselves?
Oh, exactly.
How do we not do this?
Well, because there's 3 possibilities. 3.
There's 3. Yes.
And
there's Edel.
Yes.
I can't think of his name. The
general.
The general.
Edel.
There's the son Alex, or
the daughter.
Oh,
the wife's
4.
Not there. The wife's not there, though.
You don't know that the wife's not there.
She said, "I'm going to live with my sister."
I'm going to live with my sister. How do you know that he wasn't standing there looking out the door and then bam.
Or she killed it.
Or she killed him. There's 5 possibilities.
Right.
Or Alex killed him.
Yes.
Or he killed Alex.
Yes. Which I don't think would have happened.
No. I couldn't tell because the way that thing framed out, you saw him looking out the window.
It's whoever wants more money next season on the contract gets fired.
You know what? We'll do it for half the price. Yes. Hey, it's their American uncle. Wait, they're Siamese twins. What happened? We'll be like you and I would be like Rosie Greer and the other guy will be the two-headed guy.
That's right.
And we'll show up. We're like, it's the uncles from America. Why are they wearing the same sweater?
We live near a nuclear reactor. We grew up in Zion, so for those of you who don't know, we podcast out of Chicago, and there's a nuclear reactor a little bit north of us. So
yeah. So the fish have 3 eyes. My pee glows. Right. Big deal.
It's not 5. It could be worse.
I think it could be the reason that I say Edel instead of Abel or whatever it's supposed to be. Okay, so who do you think? Who do you think killed themselves or was killed?
So obviously you think it's the father or the brother. So I think it's the daughter that did it. I think it's the
Alex.
daughter. Do you?
I think Alex walked in. He got the news. Because they didn't show us whether he was confirmed having AIDS. He has
Yeah.
AIDS.
Yes.
There's no question in my mind. Even
Sure.
though we haven't had any confirmation, there's no question. If you follow that line, unless he's a carrier,
Right.
he's got it. And I think he walked in and he realized everything is crap.
Right.
And now I'm going to live out this death wish. And I think he killed
in my
himself.
Nazi dad's house without my
Right.
mother and my insane daughter who's in love with the East German spy,
But
which is a
what
great one.
What we didn't see is we didn't see what happened with the daughter.
Right.
I don't think it's the daughter, but boy, that could be interesting. But we also didn't see there could be a scene. There could be a 5-minute scene in there
Right.
between Alex walking in and the gunshot sound, because the gunshot the point of view was outside.
Yeah.
The same window that the general was standing at.
Right. Was like, yeah.
So it could be that the general took his own life at that moment because think about it.
It seems unlikely. But
All
it
the
could.
things that went down with the mole and
Right.
all that, he comes home. The daughter is in custody. He knows that it's deep in his family. What was she doing there and why? You know, like he's
Right.
gonna have that.
But
that
did he even know
AI
that-
guy up his rear end?
Well, hold on. Here's another 6-1. What if the AI guy came
Or
to
it's
the
IA.
house? IA, whatever. What if that guy came to the house?
It's
and
Jude Law.
It
It's
is. But,
IA.
Yeah, exactly. But Edel shot the intelligence guy.
No.
I'm throwing.
But if that happens, he's like right in the brig.
Why? He's a general. He's just going to say this guy tried to kill me. I killed him.
I think that's a stretch. I think that's a bigger stretch than
Well, of course it is. But
than the other things we're saying.
Why not- why
maybe
not
it's
have a-
Thomas? Thomas shows up. He's trying to have an affair with the daughter,
The
and
mother.
He's got the,
The
porn
aunt,
stash.
the
Yeah,
crazy
the
aunt.
crazy aunt.
The
He's got the
crazy
porn
aunt.
stash. Maybe that was who got killed. What if it was her? She's out on that swing set.
and he shoots a crazy
He
aunt.
just shoots her. Like all of this happened, and it had nothing to do with you. But you crazy ass, bam! You know.
See, I don't think it's the father because I think he's too much of the military man to
And too in
crack.
control of his situation. But if his son walks in and says, "I've got AIDS," the mom
Yeah.
clearly has left. Like his life is in shambles.
Sure.
And then he was at the
It's too
center of this
convenient.
mole.
It's too convenient,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I don't think it will. I think that it's the son.
Well, because
It makes sense to me.
conversely, at the end of the show, after Schweppenstadt gets completely destroyed on the East German side, I mean,
Yeah.
completely, they show him at the end just kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
So, like,
He's done.
He basically, well, no, he's done, but he basically could have started World War III because his superior,
Right.
well, his superior told him to do it, so it's not really his fault. But
yeah, but he was working in cahoots with that superior. It
Oh, yeah.
wasn't. He didn't act alone.
but he didn't, right.
But even in the 0 hour, when they're calling him on it, when the new
Yeah.
superior calls him on it, he still was like, no. See, it didn't say anything. He's like, I love that scene too, because the guy's like, yeah, no. See, you left out the fact that it's a drill and that they
Right.
will never do this.
Yeah.
So that was
But
great.
he's still there. He's not dead. He's not in the brig. He's letting
Right.
Thomas go. He's letting Ingrid go.
Thomas.
He's letting everything.
Did
Yeah.
you think Thomas was going to buy it when he went through the doors there?
Yes, I did.
I totally thought like he's going to walk in and he's going to start to walk through and they're going to just like beat him to death.
Yes.
Like that's it. The stash and the tight pants are done.
They were going to take.
We've had enough of that. We're not letting that out of the country.
They were going to put him in a trunk. But yeah, I mean, but he's there. So I mean,
Thomas is not going to resurface.
but Schweppenstadt is still sitting there.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
but I
what
like-
repercussions did he really
exactly.
face?
Did
other
he get
than-
a slap? I think that
Slap on the wrist
I
and
think the
that's it.
higher up guy paid the price.
Yeah.
I think the guy who was always talking war. He's going to say
He's
he told
the
me
one,
he told me
yes.
to put this guy in there. I'm a good soldier. I did my job.
Yes. Boy, but Schweppe has some control, man.
Oh, he does.
The fact that he could get that arranged for Thomas to be taken out of the country when the guy had the illegal books. I mean,
Right.
he said, this is treason.
Right.
Yet,
Yeah, but you know what? Here it is and this is a thing that they do. They talk about it being treasonous, and then they all do exactly what is
Oh,
treasonous.
sure.
So it doesn't matter. They can say, hey, it'd be like a police officer speeding and saying, well, I caught you speeding,
Right.
but you were speeding too. Oh, well, that's okay because I'm the cop.
but still, the cop above him is the one that has the power to really make it happen, and that's what Schweppe is. Schweppe
Sure.
had that power
Oh, yeah.
to do that. If it had been, Martin when he was a guard, he'd get busted.
Right.
If he let somebody go through, know.
Maybe not. I mean, but he can let people go through. I mean, the thing is, they travel back and forth all the time.
Sure.
They do. They travel back and forth between. When they go back, and they have to go back because they have their family.
I was thinking that tonight because Tishbeer seems to be able to like cross.
Well, he
pretty
goes to West Berlin. So there's, if you remember back in the time, there was they had to let you into this one highway to drive to Berlin because it wasn't part of the West, and there was it was like going to O'Hare. And sorry, I'm using Chicago references, but there's that little
over by Soldier Field.
Well, but there's no
the Beef City.
Over by there. There's that little narrow. There's the highway that's Chicago, surrounded by suburbs, and that's kind of like what West and East Berlin was. There was a little highway you could go, and you couldn't go on outside of it. And so I think they let people in, and I think that's how he got back there.
He's traveling.
Yeah.
But he was the one standing there at the border with Thomas, which that's going to end badly.
Yes.
Poor Thomas.
Poor Thomas.
Yep.
Yes.
Hey, I like your mustache.
Right.
So, yeah, that's going to end badly. But he did seem to be – he seems to have – the code cracked on how to travel between the different circles.
Well, so does Martin. I mean, Martin had no problem getting across at all.
Amazing.
Yeah.
When he climbed in that car and the kid's head popped up, I died. I'm like, oh my gosh! And then he just goes, shh. That was the best scene.
Right.
When the border guard looks at it, the kid goes, shh.
Yeah.
And the guard's like, I'm opening the trunk. That was great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but
how did he not see Martin's eye, though?
Exactly. Well, I mean, you have different perspective.
We got to suspend disbelief a little bit too.
But they also might not care. They might just be like, whatever. I mean, number one, but
that guy. Did you see his face?
Who's going to care? Who's going to care if you're trying to get in? Nobody's going to care if you're trying to get into East Germany. They care if you try to leave. If you come in,
you're not getting back out.
You're not getting back out.
Yeah,
so
it's like the Roach Motel.
Yeah, exactly.
With that though, I think that guy did care, and the reason is the alert about Martin being escaped. I think because that's why he had to even escape within East and West Berlin. He had to be undercover. How about that? I had forgotten from the last episode that Annette and Yvonne were sitting in the same room.
Yes.
And as soon as I saw him, I went, oh, no. That played out pretty interesting.
Absolutely. So
I didn't see – I couldn't predict any of that.
No.
Her getting captured. And then Martin walks in the room and she's tied up. His face is like, Mom. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's great.
No, Martin.
He didn't know that Yvonne was in that room.
Right.
When Yvonne was tied up, he was calling for his mom, and he opened the door and he sees her. And, his face was just
I'm thinking forward when he ties up Annette.
When he ties up
Annette and our guy,
what's funny?
Our nerd guy, our nerd GDR guy.
Right. Yeah. Martha called him Kip from Napoleon Dynamite. Yep. There was another guy. She made that joke just before that. There was a guy in the background. So we had Kip sitting in the car watching Martin's house, right? Uh-huh. There was a guy in an orange jumpsuit, like sweeping his driveway. Absolutely looked like Dr. Evil.
Oh, he did. Yes.
I'm like, it's Dr. Evil. And she goes, no, it's Kip. And I was like, Kip? Oh, my gosh, it's Kip. Napoleon, you ripped my mole off, I think. It was so great. Where's LaFonda? It was so great. Dr. Evil, though, making an appearance. Please make that be real. I hope the showrunner was like, you look like Dr. Evil. We're going to put you in this
Michael
scene.
Myers shows up, Seth Green.
Yeah, right.
They're doing
that would be so funny. Dad.
Richard Wagner shows up. It'd be fantastic. So.
Maybe we see Vern Troyer run through in the background.
I'm here.
Well, it would be the 80s. So Goldmember was the 70s. I wonder who the bad guy would be in the 80s.
Well, in the 80s, it doesn't...
Austin wasn't until the 90s, so Dr. Evil would have been a younger man at that point.
Yes.
So there's got to be some Bond villain that they can make a parody of. Ivana Humpalot or something like that would be the one in the 80s.
Ivana Humpalot.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think we went off track.
As we digress from our digression. So.
Yes. So we... In the preview, I think it was last time we watched, we saw Annette tied up. But I don't know if we noticed it was Martin. I remember us saying, what is going on there?
Exactly.
Him tying her up was crazy.
Yes.
Because he was fighting to get back there to be with her and the kid, and then he felt like, you're the enemy.
Right.
Which is pretty nuts. I mean, if you look at it from her perspective, she's not the enemy. She was doing what she thought was right, and she was doing what she thought he wanted.
Yeah, but I think she was doing what she needed to do to preserve herself because it was obvious from when Martin came back for the kidney transplant that things were not going to be good between them in the future. I think that's how he looked at it. I don't
remember them. I don't remember that scene.
She came and saw him in the hospital the only time that she saw him, and they were talking about it. She's like, well, I think you should go back. So Schweppen stopped.
She was weird, and then right after that is when Schweppy gives him the picture.
Right.
I thought that was the picture he was going to find, is the picture of him with Yvonne, and or that Yvonne was going to find.
Yeah.
Because if she had seen that picture, it would have been like, why do you have a picture of me and Martin?
Exactly.
But she found the picture of him in Annette.
Right.
Which that scene was great too. And
yeah.
I like how Annette flipped it, like, oh, and your boyfriend, and it's like, oh no,
yeah.
Like all hell breaks loose. That was excellent. This was a great episode.
It was, and you know what? And it wasn't, like we've talked about. The last episode wasn't a complete throwaway where it just kind of tied up loose ends. No. It opened a lot more doors than it closed, I think.
But once again, it could end here.
Oh, it could, absolutely.
And I would be so satisfied. It was a great ending. Mm-hmm. Some shows have a cliffhanger where it has to go on. The story has got to continue from that moment.
Sure.
This told a complete story.
Yes.
I was so satisfied with it. But yeah, I would love to know what happens next.
Oh yeah, there is
Martin.
It does. It told the whole chapter or the whole book.
I don't really want to know what happens to Thomas next. It's going to be ugly.
There's a lot of protesting.
A lot of protesting.
We don't know where, but there will be some. So going
there
isn't. But there's a lot of I think they could take it from a different view if they decide to do another 8 episodes where they could do it the East German side, what the ramifications of this are, the West, what the ramifications are of what happens, because...
Well, do you think you would follow Martin? Do you think you would make Martin your central character again and see what happens next? Because where's he going to go? What's he going to do?
Well, I mean...
Is he going to go to the Russians?
Well, no, did he save East Germany from making a big mistake? And is he going to be...
but I don't know if he's going to be a hero for that or if they're going to turn on him.
Well, if they do, then he'll just...
Because here's the deal, man. Even though he saved them, and even though he did what they should view as the right thing.
Right. Well, he blew his cover.
He blew his cover and broke their trust. They wanted him to be a mole until the end of time.
Sure.
He is now a blown asset. He's been burned. And
well, can he go back to just being a soldier? Why couldn't he?
I don't know.
Why? I mean, his aunt is gone. Why can't
but
she
are they
going to
trust him?
Probably not, but maybe they will. But it's obvious that Schweppenstadt is still in the picture.
Yeah.
So why can't he do something else?
If he's still in the picture, maybe he could do something with Martin. Maybe make him more, turn him into James Bond, get him crossing lines.
Or not even do that, but make him into he could be an analyst.
No, shut up. I want it to be James Bond. Yeah. Make him the Bourne Identity. Make him a Manchurian candidate.
That would be good.
Yes. So. He gets close to Hitler, even though Hitler's not in the story anymore.
Yeah.
Like we go back in time. He's going to ride a dinosaur and fight Hitler.
That's right.
I'm going to write this show.
Yes.
What's the show?
They call it Doctor Who.
Let's get her on the phone. It's called Doctor Who.
It's called Doctor Who. That's what they do. So
I'm all about that. That sounds awesome. Yeah, there was an episode called Let's Kill Hitler.
Yes, there was.
We need one next season.
That's right.
But like, what about, like, remember the scene with the Asian woman that attacked him in the hotel room? There's a whole, like, spy network thing out there. So that could be something this show does, is evolve into like a spy show.
Yeah, but
which I'd be okay with, because this was so great.
Sure. I mean, it's obvious you can just come and go from East Germany however you want, so you could probably go everywhere else in the world and not have a problem. I mean, they might not know who he is.
Especially in Canada. Maybe they'll have him in Canada next season.
Exactly.
Everybody's all agreeable as he's like running around doing stuff, and they're like, well, I guess it's okay.
It's okay, yeah.
Hey Schweppenstadt said it's okay.
Hey there.
Well, up there would be the fluffer shot. That's kind of my Canadian, kind of Frenchish,
It's your impersonation.
No,
it's
terrible.
Show. Yeah, it's okay. So
maybe he'll come to Americans and be a guest star on Elf, because he'll become, famous American. It's the 80s. It all happens. They'll put sunglasses on him, and they're like, it's the East German spy.
He'll be on LA Law or something. That'd be good.
That's right. That would work perfectly. And then
him and Harry Hamlin?
He's in Harry Hamlin. He's in every movie. He's in Clash of the Titans with Harry Hamlin.
Exactly. Except he's the skeleton, the claymation skeleton they have.
Oh, shut up. I love that.
I think Clash of the Titans is before then. Isn't that 79?
No, that was 80s.
That was 79 or 80. I can't
remember. I remember it had to be around 81, 82. And here's how I know. I was sitting in the library. Look out. I was sitting in the library in junior high with my
Dynamite magazine?
Eisenhower Junior High. And I had my red Eisenhower jacket that I had just gotten. So that had to be 81.
Yes.
And I was sitting there reading Starlog magazine that had a spread about Harry Hamlin in Clash of the Titans, and somebody stole my jacket. I remember
Get
that.
out of here.
I remember they stole it right off the back of my chair because I was like, "Where'd my jacket go?" Like 1 second, it was gone. And
how does that happen to you?
Oh yeah,
is this in Schaumburg or in Hoff
Estates? But you know what? I'll tell you the other one that happened.
Nice call, 1981.
When I was like 10, we went to Disney World or Disneyland out in California, and it was my birthday. And you know me, I'm not a sports guy. I wasn't a sports kid either, but I got a Cubs jacket and a Cubs hat.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting there watching the Disney parade, and I sat down, and my parents are standing over there. I'm an only child, so I'm like sitting in a sea of kids, right. And I felt somebody pull my hat off. Gone. Somebody around me grabbed my hat and put it down like this and stole my hat. Because, like, if your hat blew off or something, you'd see it, or the kids were like, oh! No.
Somebody just took it?
I felt it. I actually saw fingers go like that, and I turned around, and it was
gone.
One of the kids around me stole my hat right off my head. Victim. That's right. Now you're opening up old wounds.
That explains a lot. No, I didn't know.
Then there was that time at Arby's. No. When I realized the meat was...
The slicer. Hey, it was...
The slicer. Are you making finger jokes?
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
That's all right.
You could be the next mayor of Chicago. You and Rahm are missing...
Oh, is he missing a finger?
Yeah, he is.
I didn't know that.
Same one.
Oh, well, I could be Rob Emanuel.
That's right.
That's right. The same raccoon got it.
That's right.
They're eating in the sewer. Yeah, I love this finger. I got two.
That's right.
Maybe I got two. Here you go, honey. Yum.
Nice.
Are we still talking about this show? What else happened? Ursula left Adol.
Yes, we talked about that.
Son, I'm telling you, the son shot himself, but you think differently.
Well, I'm opening because it seems like it's a too obvious thing that maybe, if it isn't the son, it's going to be the father. But I also think the daughter might come into play, like where
I do
something
too,
happens.
I don't think it was there.
Well,
but maybe she could be there.
What happened if he comes home and says, "Dad, I'm sick. I've got this crazy disease," and the father pulls a pistol and the daughter jumps in front, and
that would be crazy.
That would be the human tragedy and would be fantastic.
And then it turns out that she's got a bulletproof vest on and a letter from Marty McFly, and she goes, "I read it." See, it's
turns into
80s.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yes, I read it.
And Schwarzenegger comes in. Dad turns into Schwarzenegger. He's like the T-2000.
Now we're talking. Now we're casting.
We're in.
Get to East Berlin.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. It's all terrible. Okay, what else didn't we cover?
Lenora.
Martha had something she wanted me to bring up.
Okay.
When Stom tied up Annette.
Yes.
The first thing Martha said was, yeah, she's pregnant and she's in overalls. She's got to pee about every 45 seconds.
Oh, sure.
This is going to be a mess.
Well, yes.
And I thought... at first I was like, well, she just peed.
Like, it's the 80s.
But she's in overalls. She goes, do you know how hard it is to get a pregnant woman out of overalls? I'm like, no. Yeah. No, except for my time as an Amish man, but an Amish woman. But I wasn't in overalls. It's a weird time in my life. Yes. I don't like to talk about it. I ended up shooting myself in the finger. And no. I was in the entryway. No one knows if I shot myself, if it was anal.
That's right. We don't know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's not... But it's the 80s. Guess that was Bananarama wore overalls. But I'm saying that was
Bananarama.
Bananarama wore 80s
and then
in the
they
overall.
would cuff the pants.
They did, yes.
Oh, my
So this is the
gosh.
80s, just like we got the Duran Duran look and we have the scarf. I mean, come on.
I'm so sorry this show's over. I'm having so much fun talking about this. It's too funny.
I know. You wish there was more references.
Okay,
maybe they will go on.
What?
Okay, go.
What were
No,
you
go
gonna
ahead.
say?
No.
Well, the music.
I was just riffing, so go.
There were
The music.
two very key songs in this, but there were a few. I didn't know what that German one was that Yvonne was dancing to.
Yes.
But
No,
that was
neither did I.
cool.
That was very cool.
Boys Don't Cry, when they were in the car, when he was hiding in the back, was spot on.
Yes.
I mean, for me, it was like, oh, there's the 80s. Like,
Oh, yeah.
no question. And it's a great song, and it was like, this is perfect. But the ending could not have been better. You remember the very ending? He's looking at the fire, and Under Pressure starts
Yes.
up. It's like,
Dude,
how
yep.
did they not play this before? Because of the pressure he was under, it was like just so fitting.
Oh, sure.
That's why I think it's not done, is because his pressure, according to that, now he's under pressure. After all of this, now it's bad. So that's interesting music choice and great song.
Oh yeah, and it, of, and we have checked everything. They were accurate that all of those songs were out at that time, which was fantastic.
Yes.
Whether they might have been a couple years earlier, but they were still big at the time.
Even a couple years earlier, you're still going to hear it on the radio.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So,
how long did we have to hear Huey Lewis in the news? Like 8
now
years.
We're hearing it still now.
We're hearing it again, but it was like 8 years. Like every time you turn on the radio, it's in America's Top 40. Wasn't it Top 40 7 years ago? I kind of remember I Want a New Drug. That's what it was like in the 80s, until Rat showed up. Kind of ruined everything.
Rat and Motley Crue.
They ruined the whole thing. Guns N' Roses right at the tail end. Ruined it all.
They did.
Okay. I think we did talk about all of it.
Yeah, I think we did. In terms of a series, I think we got of the 8 episodes, a full 6 were really, really good, and I'd probably say 7. There was only one kind of iffy one, and still the iffy one was just...
It was still good.
They had to tie up a lot of stuff. So,
But the iffy one, I know which one you're talking about, was still good.
Yes.
It was one of those transition episodes. But even at that, it's like there's nothing here that I would not go back and rewatch.
Oh, no,
I think
absolutely.
That's
I agree.
saying a lot. Because I can think of, even on Breaking Bad, which is such a phenomenal show, I could pretty much watch any episode. There's one that I'm not crazy about that I kind of,
Right.
Lost. I love Lost.
Right.
There's an episode, the Jewel Heist episode, is the worst thing you've ever seen.
Sure.
I just wanted to poke my eyes out. There's nothing here.
Hey, we need to fill 42 minutes. What can we do with these characters?
God.
Hey, thanks.
But here, it's only 8 episodes, but this is a choice 8 episodes.
Oh, sure, absolutely it is.
So kudos to these
and I hope
showrunners and writers. It's just great.
Yeah, they did a really nice job, and I like that they didn't use the kind of, it wasn't the establishment, the Hollywood.
Right.
Let's do this. It even wasn't the American.
No, this was very German. It was a great perspective.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It isn't even the American cable now, like, the Breaking Bads and all that stuff where, hey, this is edgy. And it's very good, and I really like that line, that whole thing that Sopranos and HBO opened up where, hey, you can do non-network series and make them really, really good. And then all of a sudden they go, hey, and then, everybody's doing it now, which is great. This was very good.
This made me want more German TV. I want to see what else they got going on. Because if this is their Mad Men, Mad Men's great.
Well, but this was developed for Americans by Germans.
I thought it was a German show.
No. This is a show for Americans.
Are you sure?
By Germans.
You read about it?
That's what I thought.
Wow.
The way I understand it, and I could be wrong, and we may have to edit this out because
one of us could be wrong.
I don't think Anna Winger is German by birth. I think she moved there and she's American and speaks German and wrote the show from that perspective. I could be wrong. And if it
that
is,
would be
you need to edit this out really quick.
Super interesting.
But it says it's an American TV
because it's how you're interpreting it.
Well, it may be because I'd like to
even if it wasn't,
talk to her about it. So
she's still amazing.
Yeah.
This is really amazing. But that would be a really interesting approach. It's kind of like Guillermo del Toro making his movies, where you're like, he's Hispanic and
he's Spanish, right? He's not.
Yeah, he's Spanish.
He's Spanish, right?
Yeah, and he's made Spanish films. He's made American films. When he made Devil's Backbone, I believe that was made there, but he made it intending it to come out in America, even though it's all in Spanish.
Sure.
It's an interesting approach. Which, by the way, is a phenomenal film. If you haven't seen that,
yes, it is a phenomenal film. Well, yeah, but there is a huge difference because the cinematographic, whatever
cinematography of it.
Well, not that the way they make movies for American audiences is a lot different than other places.
Oh yeah.
As the stupid idiots that we are, will pretty much buy anything that you throw out there.
The stuff that is that's why indie film and indie TV like this I would consider more like indie TV.
Sure.
Is bolder. It breaks those forms. For a long time with TV, it was like everything was if it was a sitcom, it was a 3-camera shoot.
Right.
It was Happy Days. Happy Days, the first season was interesting to watch. After that, it was 3 cameras. Canned jokes.
Sure.
And one-liners. That was it. So much of TV has been that.
Right.
And then this. HBO with Sopranos, that was kind of an indie type thing. That was not happening. And I know indie is not really the correct word, but it is. It's outside of the machine.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Absolutely,
outside of the American machine.
Mm-hmm. Which is good. And that's what I like. And we did a binge watch on s1e8 on another channel. And that's why it was so great, because it was not the machine.
It
was
was
fantastic.
totally not the
and
machine.
It went not just German.
Yes.
It went English. And, and Hispanic.
It was
and
so interesting.
Indian and Bollywood, which was
Yeah.
great, because Bollywood is basically Hollywood with,
lots of dancing and
lots of dancing and kissing, but nothing else. And I mean, not even kissing. But I mean, they have their machine, and they kind of covered all of them. And I thought it was great that they could cover everybody and make it appealing across the board. So,
well, this show, absolute winner. I really hope there is a second season, and if there's not, I hope everybody watches this.
Well, I hope
anyone
so
listening
too.
to this, I'm sure.
Well, I think if she does something else in the same vein,
we're going to watch her.
It would be great, because I thought she did a great job of this story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's well acted, and it's well directed.
She's a great showrunner, obviously.
Yeah.
Do another show. I'd be really interested to see what she does with something else too.
Absolutely. So
it's like Vince Gilligan with Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. You know what? Yeah, keep doing Breaking Bad, and now he's got Better Call Saul, which is still great.
Yeah.
But you know what? If all of a sudden he said, you know what, we're going to launch Ironsides, and Vince Gilligan's going to run it.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be good.
Sure.
It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be good. That's what we have here. She has that same potential, I think.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think there's different.
I was into it, so
no, I do too. I hope there's a different expectation. We've talked about that before in different things. Is that they put so much money in these things that the expectation is it has to be this gigantic hit. Why can't it just be really good and a big hit? Because I don't know what Sundance would have paid for a show like that, but I hope that it paid off for them, and I hope they do more shows like that. I mean, you look at their series; they have 10 or 12 series that they're doing
on Sundance.
Which
and a lot looked good.
Yeah,
Red Road is Red something.
Yeah,
that's the one with Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. Yeah, Red Plains.
Red Dirt.
Red something. Yeah, no, I know. I can't think of it. Sorry,
that one looks good. I mean, there's just a bunch of things. So
and once The Honest Woman with Maggie Gyllenhaal looks good.
Yeah, that looks good.
So there's a lot there. So
yeah, and once again, it's kind of that indie approach. So. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good. So
we may be back with an interview at some point.
Hopefully,
if not, just keep checking out 80s Reboot, because they're doing some new shows. They're doing one all about Springsteen in the 80s.
Yes.
Which sounds fun. And they just did an 80s reboot that's going on this week, which is they're covering the Stephen King books from the 80s. And the word I got from one of the guys that's on it, Jesse told me last night, well, then we're going to do Stephen King movies in the 80s. That's going to be great, though.
It's great.
Come on, man.
It's going to be great, but it's horrible.
You and I talking Maximum Overdrive would be great. Yes. We would have so much fun.
Yes.
So
the good and the bad of Maximum Overdrive.
The bad, yeah.
Because there's a lot of each. So
yeah, a lot more bad when you boil down the 80s.
There is. Well, you know what? The bad thing is, as good as his books were, they couldn't make a decent movie.
Not for a while.
Not for a long time. I mean, until they said, "Hey, let's just make it as messed up as we can."
Until Frank Darabont said, "I have an idea."
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, but they were. I mean, remember that Salem? They made the made for TV
with
Salem,
David Soul.
Yeah, it was
Salem's Lot.
Atrocious, and it was such a good book. I mean, he writes such good stories, and then
you watch the movie, and it has almost nothing to do with it.
No.
So, but we're not on that podcast.
No,
so you got to listen to that show.
Yes,
Chris, I'm inching my way in.
We'll comment our way into it. So.
All right, we'll do a companion show where we tell them how they're wrong and what we think.
You guys are wrong.
You guys are all wrong.
What 80s did you grow up in? Yeah. Well, it's like and I love my wife, but we grew up in different parts of the 80s. I'm older, 4 or 5 years older.
Okay.
My perspective of the early 80s is way different than hers.
Sure.
And her perspective of the later 80s is more favorable than mine. Where I'm like, I think of the 80s as like the 82, like the Police, like at the Duran Duran time, it started like the downturn for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And like when you mentioned Rat, that was like, hey, that was the good, not the good part of the 80s, but that was just a different part of the 80s that I really liked that it went to there. But I was more late 70s, early 80s kind of guy, like the Cure and all that other stuff that just came up in the older Police.
Right. Yeah, I'm younger than you, but I was into that stuff, and then I jumped. I couldn't stand all that the Madonna stuff, and then the metal stuff. I had no interest.
Sure.
I just leapfrogged. I went right into what ended up becoming alternative radio.
Right.
I remember getting REM albums that were like not one-offs, but like they had a couple of early albums that like you had to go to the underground stores to find.
The underground. Like, where do you go for your cool stuff?
There was a place called Turntable by us that was this little dinky hole in the wall, smelled like pot smoke. You'd go in there and he had all vinyl, and it was all stuff you were like, who's REM?
Yeah.
Like imports of U2, and you're like, I've never heard of these guys. And it was cool.
Well, that was how there was that big indie scene. We'll go into our 80s early reboot, but like the Beat Farmers, all these, there were a ton. I mean, the Violent Femmes, before they became big, were huge. And, we go back to the Rolling Stone where we went to the college radio play
in the back.
That was what
the best
were.
thing.
And nobody knew what it was. Like REM. I mean, I remember seeing REM before they ever had an album out that was commercially successful, selling out Carver Hawkeye Arena at Iowa University of Iowa because they were on that college scene.
Awesome.
And nobody heard of them. You couldn't hear a song on the radio, or maybe one.
Maybe XRT might play something.
Exactly.
But that was it. It was pretty rough.
It was. So I mean, even the big names that came out with solo stuff wasn't big. Like even Pete Townsend, when he did his face to face and stuff, wasn't that huge. And then, but in college, it was big,
huge, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I want to hear that right now too.
Yeah,
that's such a good album.
But there was all that '80s stuff too.
White
that came
City,
over
what an album! Holy cow!
Oh, it's fantastic. And looking back at it after you know exactly what he was going through, you're like, oh my gosh. I mean, 20 years later, you're like, really? That's what that was about?
That's what that song was about.
Yeah. Just like Judas Priest, you're like, oh yeah, that puts a big difference.
I like what is it, Slit Skirt or whatever?
Slips, yeah.
And Roger Daltrey goes, I never knew it was about me. That was a great interview.
And that's amazing because Roger thought everything was about him.
Right? It's like, the one song I didn't think was about me was about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're So Vain wasn't, though. That was Warren Beatty, yes. All right, let's end
good. So we are all done with this season. Thank you very much for listening. We hope we can come back to you with some more either interviews or talk about another show. I think that is all we got. Anything else you have to say?
No, thank you so much for listening. Find our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Find me on Twitter at rsouthgate. Find the company at SMG Pods. I don't know 80 Reboots Twitter.
It's 80s. I think it's 80s Reboot is on Twitter.
That sounds right.
But they're on the Southgate Media website.
Go to the website. The website's getting a complete redesign right now. So when you go, you'll be able to have all those links and all that, and check out what they're doing. And then, Chris, where do you tweet from?
Tweet from Blue Box Cafe 176, and we're on Facebook, website, all over the place.
And if you happen to make it to Elgin, Illinois, stop in. It's the greatest place. It's a Doctor Who themed cafe. And the food's great, and the coffee's great, and the company is sketchy. But
the owners are definitely sketchy. At least one of them is.
Yeah, right.
The other's great.
The other one's lovely.
Yes, she is lovely. The other guy.
The other one, we'll start talking about Rat, and it just goes on.
Round and round. It goes round and round.
Oh, well played.
Sorry.
All right. Well, that's it. I'm done.
That's it. We're done.
One more thing to say.
Hopefully for the not for the last time, Auf Wiedersehen.